You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis show. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. And I've just been reliably informed that it is not my friend, the Mustafa Hamid, who is the minister. He's not the one. It's someone else who also uses that same name. About the text I had read earlier. Not a text, it was a post that had been brought to my attention. And I'll say, like Justice Olenu said, put your foot down. If you find it green, say it is green. If you find it blue, say it is blue. They may not like you, but they will respect you. This show is brought to you by Bank of Africa, strong as a group, close as a partner. MTN, welcome to the new world. ACAP Compost Fertilizer is truly natural. And Breeze ERP, an innovative product of Websoft Solutions, Coral Paint. And now, I had mentioned earlier, unfortunately, we are running out of time. But, right. Kuku says I should give you sufficient time to deal with that issue, because you can classify that comfortably under the 100 days. The Ameri project has been contract has been reviewed, and the deal is that if the renegotiation happens, which government is seeking to renegotiate with Ameri, and if they do not agree to renegotiate, the government is advised to abrogate the contracts on the basis of fraud. Now, you must have heard Imani Ghana and other groups speak about it. And you must have read the review report itself, which did both the technical, financial, and the legal analysis of the whole thing. Now, what will be your response, particularly to the charges that are laid at your doorstep, that you did not do what was expected of an attorney general before you put your signature on that document? Because we are hoping that if the review happens, Ghana is going to be saved a whopping $150 million. That's going to be able to, according to Bryce Simmons, he does a comparison, that's going to be able to fund free SHS for this year.
Okay, Samson, thank you very much for the opportunity, but I want to begin by entering a caveat. And that caveat is that somewhere around December 2015, a gentleman called Yvonne Hughes, went on Facebook and made a number of defamatory, in my view, comments about my involvement in the Ameri deal. And then I tried to explain to him why I thought that he was wrong, and he was persisting, and I took him to court. So as we speak now, I have a suit pending in the High Court against Yvonne Hughes as a defendant for damages for defamation. So I'm not going to speak to any issue that is pending before the court, but I'm going to try to generally explain for the understanding of your viewers and listeners the structure of the agreement, and as well as to try to debunk some of the allegations and misinformation that is going on, especially on social media by people like Bryce Simmons. I think that, he's a brilliant chap, but he's not using his brilliance very well as far as this contract is concerned, and I will say why. First of all, it's been alleged that Ghana entered into a contract for which we are paying $510 million US dollars for a plant. Okay, there has been no such contract for in which the government has an obligation to pay $510 million. We have a BOT contract, that is a build, own, operate, and transfer contract with Ameri. And under that contract, the obligation to build the plant is on Ameri. And Ameri owns the plant and will operate the plant for 5 years, and then transfer it to VRA, the plant to VRA. Now, under that arrangement, our obligation, and I will say the key obligation of Ghana as a country, not even the government of Ghana, but ECG and VRA, is to take and pay for the power. And we are paying 14.5 cents per kilowatt hour, which is one of the cheapest. It's only Sonny Asogli which beats Ameri with respect to the price per kilowatt hour.
Yeah. PricewaterhouseCoopers, who did the analysis, also value for money analysis.
Value for money analysis.
Agreed with you on this point.
Yes, on this point, yeah. Now, the misinformation that is going on about some 150 million being saved, okay, it's just, for want of a better expression, pure balderdash, because the cost of the plant itself, including installation and construction, came to $360 million US.
Right. Okay.
And that takes account of the $240 million US, which is the cost of the equipment. That is the turbines that we bought, from GE, and then the cost of installation and construction and installation, okay, which is and then the balance of plant. So that comes to 360 million. Now, Samson, if you construct the plant, all right, at this cost, do you leave the plant there to, produce electricity automatically? You have, to hook it to the national grid. You have to, you have to engage in, you have to engage people to man it. So there are operation and maintenance costs. And basically what we did was to agree that for us to be able to pay the 14.5 cents per kilowatt hour, okay, Ameri's cost should be capped to, a maximum, including profit, to a maximum of 30 million per year. Now, the 30 million per year times 5 years is what gives you the 150 million. Okay, the 150 million, when added to the 360 million, you get the 510. Now, Samson, the problem that we have in this country is that the people who are doing the so-called analysis are not mentioning the fact that after the 360, okay, you have costs that you have to incur in order to ensure that the plant produces power. And in all the analysis that Bryce Simon has done, he has never mentioned the fact that our sole obligation, all right, our principal obligation is to buy the power at a cost of at a cost of 14.5 cents per kilowatt hour. Ghana doesn't have any obligation, okay, we don't own the plant. If anything happens to the plant now, that is not as a result of any act of the government of Ghana. It is to be borne, the risk is to be borne by Ameri. All right. Now, they also talked about some variable charges of 0.5 something that came to 16 million, and that is supposed to be part of the bloated, price that we are paying. But that is a standard practice, a standard clause in PPA, power purchase agreements. Okay. For instance, because of the nature of the environment that we have now, the the valves of the GE turbines, okay, get damaged frequently, and so as a result of the fact that they have to be changed on a regular basis, okay, Ameri has to replace them on a regular basis in order that they will be able to supply electricity and not default. So that variable cost is meant to take care of the cost incurred when the plant is operating. And it is not, for instance, there was a time that they did not operate for about 1 month. We only paid capacity charges. The variable cost did not kick in because they were not operating and nothing was, there was no wear and tear on the plant. Okay, so basically,
like I said, it's too bad. We've just run out of time. But the question which is major,
right,
is that why couldn't you have gone to the open market to get what was available on the open market, for which you would have paid, say, half of what you have committed this country to, and then you go through Ameri.
Something.
You go through Ameri. Ameri is going through. Is it APR?
No. There's something. Please.
Wait. It's going through METCA, through PPL, and finally, they get and the EPL plant, and then they are talking about what you could have done directly, and then you go through all these corners.
No. Let me. We first started with a proposal for a rental, this agreement. All right. VRA made it abundantly clear to the Minister of Power that they did not have the money to pay the rental charges, which would have come to about 450 million overall. So the BOT agreement kicked in, and in the BOT, Ameri bore all the financial obligations. No money has been issued from, if anybody has evidence of monies that have been issued from the government of Ghana to pay for this, they should let me have that evidence. No payment has been made by the government of Ghana, neither VRA nor the ECG or the Ministry of Power has made any payment to Ameri. So Ameri brings in its capital. It decides that it wants to subcontract someone, Medca, to be the EPC contractor. Is that any of our, what do you call it? What hand do we have in that? Okay, they can choose their own subcontractor to be able to, effectively, construct and then install the plant and then produce power. So this whole thing about we are going through third parties and incurring costs is neither here nor there. We have negotiated and capped the amount of money that may go to Ameri under the BOT at 510 million. And if anybody wants, they should go in and do the financials. They will realize that the cost of the equipment plus construction and installation would come to 360. And they'll realize that O&M costs and associated costs will come to 150. That is $30 million, $30 million per year. And then we are buying the power. Our principal obligation is to buy the power. We are buying it at 14 cents, 14.5 cents per kilowatt hour. What is wrong with that arrangement?
There are nagging questions, genuine, legitimate questions that ought to be asked, which Imani and Bryce Simmons and others are asking.
Yes.
I wish that you could make yourself available so that we take time and treat this subject. But in 15 seconds, why did you not render a legal opinion as expected of you? You signed, you did everything, you didn't render any legal opinion.
False for two reasons. Let me tell you why.
Oh, okay. The review is false.
The review is false.
They said they can't cite any.
Let me tell you something. They should go to the Attorney General's department. We first started with APR, which was a subcontractor of Ameri, and we issued an opinion. And that opinion related to the agreement that was negotiated with APR. Subsequently, there was a novation, and Ameri was substituted for APR. And I said, in substance, okay, all the terms and conditions are the same except the substitution of the name Ameri for APR. What was the need for us to issue a second opinion just to say that because Ameri has taken over? And in any case, Ameri was the principal that we were negotiating with, and they wanted to use APR as a subcontractor.
You do a value for money assessment after you have already, finished the contract.
No, value for money and all those analysis was done by VRA and the technical people before and during the negotiations. And something, I was the one who led the team practically because the Minister of Power at the time was with us at the negotiations, but he wasn't at the table. So I led the negotiations, and I used to ask all the technical people, Kofi, Amuna, and their team, are you guys okay with this? Is this financially sound? Is this technically sound? Before I will agree to any provision and couch it in the legal language that would be, useful in protecting the interests of Ghana. And I'm very surprised that they say, oh, we made it difficult for Ameri to terminate, for us to terminate and so on. And I remember Bryce Simmons yesterday posting something that we chose the UNCITRAL rules and so on. Something I taught international investment law. This is one of my students. I taught it for 13 years. There is nobody in this country, and I repeat, nobody in this country who is more knowledgeable in international trade and investment than Dominic Ayine. Okay, so for you to think that just choosing the UNCITRAL rules of arbitration was shortchanging Ghana. I think that is something that, and they go on social media and say all these things and people praise them.
They say it's a rip-off. It's a rip-off. Anyway, you must be excited that in the end, we'll get $150 million off.
We are not getting any $150 million off because, again, they have said that Ameri is willing to renegotiate. Ameri drove them away and said they are not willing to come to the negotiating table because it will be economically and financially unwise to revise anything in this agreement.
Wow.
So
okay, interesting.
That was misinformation.
Interesting that Ameri is not willing to negotiate. Anyway.
They have a huge tax explaining because me, from where I'm seated, last week I was confused.
Yes, you asked
Bryce Simmons, Kofi
Bento to take you through the explanation.
Yes,
and then
he's giving me some documents.
Right.
I've been reading Bright too.
Right.
And look, with all my experience, I'm shifting towards Kofi Bentil and Bright. So he has a huge problem.
Right.
To explaining things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. My guests have been Abdul Malik Kwekuba, co-editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper, Dr. Dominic Ayine, former Deputy Attorney General and Minister of Justice. Dr. Eric Odrosai is Dean of Studies, students at the Institute of Local Government Studies. Thank you all very much. I'm Samson Ladi Ayenini. God willing, next week we should bring you another interesting edition of the show, the Newsfile.